Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rachakudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And back again, I'm gonna go through a few of these headlines here. Yeah, as Pastor been saying, you miss a day, you miss a lot. So now it's I sort of have to bunch a few of these together because there's so much that is happening in the world today. But let's get through this here. So this was published today. Oil rises as 3 more warships, thousands of Marines dispatched to Middle East. Trump blasts paper tiger NATO. So now I think recently they asked Trump as to whether he was going to send troops to the Middle East, and he said he's not putting troops or boots anywhere, something like that. And then there was recently too, he was asked while on the I forget exactly where he was, but they asked him about the troops, and his response was, "Why would I tell you?" Right, like, why would I tell you that? And so looking at at least his how they've been coordinating things, right, especially when it comes to dealing with Iran, and how they've been using a lot of red herrings and deception. It's definitely, remember, it's not like you just end up in the East overnight, so it takes time to send these troops and so on over there, just like they used, and we said it, they used the negotiations as time or cover to buy time so they can send all that artillery in there to the East, because they knew what they were about to do, and they admitted that, right? They admitted that they wanted to have the element of surprise, but now this is the consequence of it. So I wouldn't be surprised, right? I'm not. In fact, that is what they're going to do, right? Eventually, they're going to send those troops over there. But when they come out and they say things in the reverse, we know what's really going on behind the scenes, right? Just like yesterday, there was this, I think it was yesterday, there was this supposed to be a press conference with Netanyahu talking about how people think that, Israel is the one who basically coordinated or pressured Trump into, or the U.S. into getting involved in this, but it's actually not, because who can tell Trump what to do? Yeah, they had to come and address that. He had to come and say that because a lot of people are onto them about how, like, who's really wearing the pants, right? Who's really pulling the strings over here? So the truth is coming out, right? They're being exposed, and that's why they're moving very quickly with this. So anyway, it says here, the summary: oil rises on news of a second massive Marine deployment toward Gulf in a week, as Trump calls NATO a paper tiger. And these are supposed to be his allies, right? These are supposed to be allies of the U.S., but look at how he is speaking concerning them. They're saying that oil might be hitting $4 a gallon next week. IRGC contradicts Bibi because he said that their missile production program, all that is basically now done. And they're like, listen, how are you telling people what we are doing here? And we're telling you that's not the case. Oh, in fact, you want to find out? You want us to shoot a couple more? Says missile production is ongoing, is of no concern, even as IRGC spokesman Ali Mohammed Naini is reported killed. And a lot of the damages, all right, that they have done in targeting the LNG, production areas and the oil production and refineries in these Gulf states, we've said it, but these are not. Oh, look at that. Breaking news. U.S. is sending 3 warships and thousands of additional Marines to the Middle East, according to Wall Street Journal report. So there you go. These things you don't fix this overnight. They're saying for some of them, it's, I think, was it Kuwait or Qatar? Qatar. Anyway, they're saying that that's taking about 3 to 5 years to try and get our energy flows, with the damage that it's sustained now, to try and get energy flows back to the way they were, assuming the straight, because you're not talking about just okay, the production can ramp up if need be, and the only problem is opening the strait. No, if you open the strait and there's nothing to actually send through it, you're still dealing with damage. All right, and the next headline that I have goes into that a bit. So energy war ongoing. Now keep in mind this energy war, everything in terms of this world, this modern world runs on energy. And once there starts to be a scarcity and it starts that shock, you start to feel the effects of that shock. Because what usually happens when you get shocked, right? Sometimes you don't feel the actual effects right away. It isn't until the adrenaline starts to wear off, then you start to feel the effects of it. And that's what the world's about to feel right now. Right now, this is the shock. It's what comes after. So that's why they're releasing these reserves, and they're trying to do this to mitigate damage as much as possible, but it's not really having much of an effect. Energy war ongoing, major sites damaged across the region. Haifa refinery hit. Qatar LNG output cut 17%. That is a lot. Okay. Kuwait facilities ablaze. Karg Island escalation looms. Trump admin weighing seizure of Karg Island to reopen Hormuz. Thousands of, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. Thousands of Marines en route. Reports of low U.S. jet strafing runs over strait. So they're already sending those troops over there. And, regardless of what the other nations are saying, the NATO nations and the European Union countries and so on, they're going to get involved. Okay, they're gonna send their troops over there as well. Signal of zero restraint from Ayatollah and a foreign minister. Iran sends warning if energy sites are hit again. Leadership structure grows opaque. Supreme leader says enemies will be denied security. And on that, enemies will be denied security. I just want to jump here real quick because in the past few days, there have been some interesting information. Now, this came out today on on X, right, from Global Surveillance. It says breaking Iran warns. Now, once again, like I've mentioned in previous videos, with all the propaganda going on in the world today, you got to take everything with a grain of salt, but still keep it in mind. Iran warns parks, tourist sites, and recreational areas worldwide will not be safe for its enemies. Now, on the assumption that this is indeed what they actually warned or said, then you can already see the setup for what's about to come next. Okay, and yes, it will be painful. But yeah, these are we're living in world-changing times. The next one here was these drones, right? They said apparently or allegedly there were some leaked information about drones that were spotted over what is a military base in where Rubio, right, Marco Rubio and Hegseth live. Why they're living there, who knows? Unidentified drones were alleged, and these are unidentified. Now, what makes this interesting is what came out, was it about a week or so ago, about the FBI warning California that Iran would use as attempting or planning on using drones to attack. So they should be ready for that. And now there's all this talk about these alleged drones unidentified and where they come from and so on and so forth. So unidentified drones were allegedly detected above the Washington Army base where Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth live, according to 3 insiders who leaked the information to the Washington Post. Officials were unable to determine where they originated, 2 of the leakers said. So now that's pretty interesting stuff now, isn't it? You're talking about a potential drone, attack, and now there's unidentified drones around here. Multiple drones were allegedly spotted over Fort Leslie J. McNair on a single night over the last 10 days, prompting increased security measures and a White House discussion on how to respond. said senior admin official who spoke on the condition of anonymity. Now, they said here as well that, recently, this is the third paragraph I'm reading now. The news comes after officials locked down facilities at MacDill AFB in Tampa, Florida, home to U.S. Central Command, which is conducting U.S. military operations in Iran, after a suspicious package resulted in the closure of the base's visitors centers on Monday, while a second unspecified security incident on Wednesday left the base under a shelter-in-place order for several hours. So it's like this these games, right? These mind games that they're playing, where they'll do one thing here, then there'll be these what do they call those things? False alarms, here and there and here and there, and then next thing you know, sign goes on, or sign goes off here or there or there or there. To where it's so much that you can't even coordinate to try and get a plan together. That time is coming. That time is coming. So back to the energy crisis that we were mentioning here. Here, the IEA, I believe that's the International Energy Agency, yes, warns, the chief there warns, Gulf flows, that's the flow of energy and resources from those Gulf states, may take 6 months to restore after biggest ever energy shock. Now, that's based on what's happening now, not based on what the world will look like in the next 2 months, okay, or the next 2 weeks. So it gets worse by the day or by the hour. The head of the International Energy Agency told the Financial Times on Friday that the world is severely underestimating the scale of the Gulf energy shock. Remember what the WEF, right, the World Economic Forum, we're talking about. I believe it was Klaus Schwab that mentioned it, about a poly crisis. And they're setting all this up because once it goes into full effect, once people start feeling the effects of this, that in itself will work like an avalanche, like a snowball effect. And one thing will lead to another, and it'll just get worse and worse and worse. People get desperate. You start seeing bank runs. You start seeing violence in the streets, and they just give them a little bit for their oxygen to be cut off. And when it gets hard to breathe, you'll see how people react. And that it may take at least 6 months to restore disrupted oil and gas flows. Fatih Birol described the conflict, now in its third week, as the greatest global energy security threat in history, and said it would take time to have oil and gas rehabilitated. It will be 6 months for some sites to be operational, others much longer. Once again, that's if you were to start now. But you can't. You can't start now. Okay? Because of all the things that are taking place. All right? And so, if there be more attacks, it's only going to spike things up even more and more and more. All right, you have diesel prices jumping above $5 a gallon. Yeah, so it's going up. It's going up for real. This is the book of Mark, chapter 13, verse 33, just getting straight to the point. Take ye heed, watch and pray, for ye know not when the time is. And that is, something very important to keep in mind. You have to keep your eyes open. Okay, you have to keep your eyes open, because one blink too long, one head turn away, and you can miss a lot. That might be just that 1 minute, that 1 hour, that one day, when whatever happens, whatever catalyst is used, it takes place. So we have to keep our eyes open. You have a lot of people in this world who don't want to do that because it's too scary. They don't like the things they see. But reality is not that when you close your eyes, the boogeyman disappears. No. He's right there. If you can't see him, you're gonna feel him. All right, when he hacks you down and he puts his hands on you. So thinking closing your eyes is going to make reality disappear is just delusions. All it's going to do is make you less prepared to handle what is coming. So that's pretty much it. Lord willing, you were edified and informed. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.